I'm a welfare baby turned self-made deca-millionaire. Here's what people need to know about wealth creation. My name's Kasim. I've built 6 million and multi-million-dollar businesses. I've had 2 successful exits, 1 for 8 figures, and I want to teach you how to achieve 3x freedom. That's financial freedom, freedom from limitation, and freedom of purpose. First, execute. Success doesn't come from knowing, it comes from doing. We've been told and taught that all we need to do is sit in a classroom and learn and things are going to come to us. That's a lie. It didn't happen for anybody. Ask anybody with one of those made-up college degrees. You have to take what you will learn and you apply it. So as you're learning, get out and do. Do poorly. Do it rough. Print it, ship it, go, but make sure that you're getting things done, because as you experiment, you learn. If all you do is sit and learn, you're a perpetual student and you never actually allow yourself the opportunity, the flywheel that the learning provides through execution. So there's nothing wrong with learning. That's what you're doing right now, watching this video, but take what you learn and apply it. And that puts you in this position of being able to iterate and sharpen the saw. Relationships. Relationships are one of the most important assets you're ever going to have in business. And I don't just mean the relationship between you and your customer. It's you, your customers, your partners, your vendors, your employees, everybody that you interact with. If you look at those relationships as equity that you're investing in, it puts you in a position of really understanding how your business is ultimately going to grow, because your business is going to go through relationships more than any other single facet or conduit. And the way to build relationships is give. Give first, give last, give more. Don't try to hold things back. Don't try to put everything behind a paywall. Don't try to negotiate in the beginning, especially when you're just getting started. Just give. Get out there and give. Are you going to be taken advantage of? Yes, that's going to happen. And guess what? That's good. It's a qualifier. It's a filter. It lets you know who not to work with. Because when you're giving on the front end, you're probably not getting a massive amount, right? I'm not telling you to go out there and work for free. I'm just saying, let people know, hey, I've got the answer to that problem and I can help you, and give away the secret sauce. And then if they want you to help them do it, then you can help them do it. Giving puts you in a position of working with people that already value what you do. And you get to qualify who's going to take advantage of you and who's not. Nobody's ever built a productive relationship with a vending machine, right? And when you try to make sure everything is a commercial endeavor, that's what you become. You're just a vending machine. Somebody puts money in and they get something out of it. If you want to lift yourself above vending machine status, start giving. And not only will you begin building a relationship, but you'll also begin building a reputation as somebody who solves problems for people. Tenacity. Entrepreneurship is the act of assuming risk. And the thing about risk assumption is, statistically speaking, you're going to lose more often than you win. However, entrepreneurship is the only form of gambling where you can manage your downside risk and your upside risk is near exponential. So if you really think about that, just from a mathematical perspective, you are guaranteed a win on a long enough timeline. The key is staying out on the field, because you're going to get hit and you're going to get beat and you're going to get broken and you're going to get knocked down. And if you can stick with it and continue to manage your downside risk, here's what that means. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose, which, by the way, I've done, because you are going to lose everything. Some of us lose everything a couple of times. But if you can stay after it on a long enough timeline, every dog has his day. I have a whole video on how I'm only rich because I'm lucky. And I actually think every rich person is only rich because they're lucky. But we got lucky because we stayed out on the field and we weathered the storm and the rain and the fights and the blow-ups and the hardships. And then one day I woke up and everybody wanted to buy Google Ads agencies and I was able to sell my agency for 8 figures. It took me 20 years to get there. So just stay after it. Stay on the field. When you lose, get back up, keep going. And I promise you, on a long enough timeline, the win is coming. Don't stop 3 feet from gold. Modeling. One of the most effective ways to really succeed in life is to find an effective model and just do what they did. But what most people do wrong with modeling is they choose a model based on what they have. That's the wrong way to choose a model. Choose a model based on how they got there. You want to model people based off of how they got to where they are. Do their values align with yours? Do they start from a context that's even similar to yours? If you choose a model that comes from, an entirely different background, let's say they're trust fund babies, or their mom and dad had an in the industry, or, they have a level of education that you don't have, that's an ineffectual model. You're not going to be able to follow their path. Go find a model whose values match your values, who actually started from a position that you can more or less replicate, and who pursued a path that you feel comfortable pursuing. That's the perfect model. Think of a model as an inverse mirror, right? They are where you want to be, and they started more or less where you're currently starting now. And all you want to do is just flip that mirror. That's the best way to find a model. And modeling is one of the most effective paths to real, lasting, sustainable success. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is one of the fastest and most reliable ways to achieving significant amounts of wealth, especially for those of us that are starting from zero. The problem is this, not everybody's an entrepreneur. There's a book called Driven by Douglas Brackman, and he talks about how entrepreneurship is actually an epigenetic flaw. 90% of people experience, the happy chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, when they achieve a goal. So those are the normal people. 10% of people, for whatever reason, experience those same chemicals, but only in the pursuit of the goal. He calls the 90% the farmers and the 10% the hunters. One group isn't better than the other, but the entrepreneurs are the hunters. So if you are an entrepreneur, or if you have that kind of entrepreneurial genome, then pursue that path. If you're not, that's okay. But a couple of things. Number one, I can't help you. Stop watching this. Go watch somebody else. Watch somebody who has pursued a path that's relevant to you. So if the entrepreneurial path is relevant to you, that's great. Now, if it's not, let's say that you're one of the 90%. There's nothing wrong with being part of the 90%. Number two, I can't help you. I'm an entrepreneur by nature. Everything that I do is entrepreneurial. So what you want to do is you want to find somebody who's found a path to success that you feel is something that you can effectively model. Habits. What you do every day matters way more than that big push, that all-nighter, that marathon that you ran. There's a quote by Aristotle that I love. Success is a habit, not an act. You need to find a way to habituate the actions that are going to bring you towards success. Success is the Kaizen principle. It's 1% improvement every day. It's a fraction of an inch earned on a daily basis. You're not going to find the eye of the tiger playing in the background as you run up the stairs and then, fight the bad guy and suddenly conquer everything. So we've been taught the wrong way. We're constantly waiting for the movie montage moment. We're waiting for the Eminem song. If you had one moment to achieve your dreams, you won't. That's not the way that it works. Success is incremental. And because success is incremental, you have to habituate the acts that will lead you towards success. We don't rise to the level of our capabilities. We fall to the level of our systems. I think that's James Clear. It doesn't matter. What that means is you have to have systems that will continue to push you towards what you want to achieve, even when you're not motivated. Because more often than not, you won't be motivated. Motivation is ephemeral. It's fleeting. It's flammable. And if you're relying on motivation, you're just never going to have it. So habituate the act of success. And this gets a little meta. Habituate habits. Learn to cultivate habits. Learn the skill of habit cultivation. That's a skill unto itself. Once you crack the code on habits, I have a whole video on habit formation, by the way, you should go watch it. It takes, generally speaking, 66 days to form a habit, which is, I round that up to 70 days, which is 10 weeks. So every 10 weeks, you can build a new core habit, and those habits start to stack on top of each other. And if you were to do that for a year, you are weaponized. Like, it's amazing, but you have to invest in that, and you have to hold true to it, and you have to make sacrifices. Every habit you cultivate requires a sacrifice somewhere else. That's just what it is. So you don't get to stay out later. You don't get to go drinking with your friends. You don't get to go on that vacation. Those are the balances. That's the balance of risks that you pay. But if you want to be successful, one of the most important things you can do is learn to cultivate habits. Mentorship. Despite my very obnoxious hook in calling myself a self-made deca-millionaire, there's no such thing as self-made. All of us need help. All of us need a lot of help. The interesting thing about that, though, is the help is actually readily available and accessible. People want to help you. Most people want you to succeed, even if they don't realize it. We all want the human endeavor to result in something that uplifts everybody. The problem, the nuance is, we only want to help people that are helping themselves. So as you work hard, as you really put your head down and do the work, you're going to find more and more people are coming out of the woodwork to assist you along the way. And very often, mentorship is disguised as some form of work. But if you are willing to make the investment in yourself, you're going to find people that are willing to invest in you. That's the thing about mentors. They view their time as an investment, which means in order to be mentored, you have to be a person that's worthy of investing in. So don't put them in a position where they're casting their pearls before swine, to evoke the biblical parable. Work hard, listen, pay attention, be humble. Be the type of person that, imagine yourself as a hyper-successful individual. Who is the type of person that you'd want to mentor? Model that, mirror that, and I think you'll find mentors come to you. Premium. Be the premium offering. We can't compete on a price basis when we're a small business. Like that's for big companies that can manage lots of scale, a word that I love. When you're starting off, you need to make sure that you're charging enough money to protect your customers from themselves. What that means is you have to charge enough money to actually have margin for error or mistakes or scope creep and to deliver on the output that your customer expects. And the only way to do that is to be a premium offering. So don't try to compete on price, compete on quality. And that becomes a really easy qualifier right out of the gate. One of my first favorite things to say when people call me is, hey, just so you know, I'm expensive. At Solutions 8, I used to, if you were to call me, I'd say, if you talk to 10 Google Ads agencies today, I'm probably more expensive than 7 or 8 of them. And if you think I'm expensive, just wait and see what a cheap agency costs you. So steal that line or don't, but don't put yourself in a position where you're competing on price, especially not in an AI-driven economy, because the commoditization of all things is happening, and commoditization eats profits alive. So be the premium offering and then deliver on the results that people would expect from a premium offering, which means you have to get good at what you're doing. Excel. Get good at what you do. Master the craft. Be somebody that's actually competent. It's so infuriating to me because I'll encounter people who, they come across my content, or I run into them at a talk and they start talking about the struggles that they're having in business. And when I dig deep, one of the first things I really try to uncover is how good are you at the thing that you're fulfilling on? Are you a master crafts person? And if not, that's where you need to start. Most people are trying to do 10% less. They're trying to get away or skate by doing 10% less. If you do 10% more, what's interesting about that is that's actually a 20% differential. That makes you significantly better than the vast majority of the market. So, dive deep, go to school on whatever it is that you're offering. And the secret code here, by the way, is entrepreneurship is not fulfillment. So if you aren't necessarily good at whatever it is that you're fulfilling upon, go find who's good. Get good, or find somebody who's good and white label them, represent them, be a subcontractor or a contractor, and put yourself in a position where you can really be proud of the output. Networking. The old saying, it's who you know, is absolutely true. But what they don't tell you is people are available and accessible to you to meet. So if you weren't born with this amazing network, you can cultivate it over time. And especially when you're just getting started out, if you have no money, this is the highest yield activity you can undertake for the lowest cost. Networking can be done absolutely free. You don't need to go join super expensive masterminds. There are a ton of events, communities, groups that you can attend for little to absolutely no cost and put yourself in a position where you get to meet people. And don't talk to me about comfort zones. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Poverty is comfortable. Put yourself outside of your comfort zone. And you know what's interesting? Most of those places, everybody's uncomfortable. So if you can be one of the types of people that makes other people comfortable, you'll become a very powerful networker. Put a smile on your face, shake people's hands, squeeze hard, mean it, and get really interested in who they are and what they do. And I promise you'll be the most popular person at the party. I believe in the 80-20 rule here. 80% of your time should be spent grinding, working on mastering your craft. 20% of your time should be spent on networking. And if I don't care if you're starting from zero, brand new right now today. If you do that for a year, at the end of the year, you're going to have a successful business. I dare say you'll have a successful 7-figure business. You can build $1 million business if you spend 80% of your time grinding and 20% of your time networking. So it doesn't need to be a massive financial outlay, but you do want to put yourself in the right rooms with the right people so that you can have conversations with people that actually might want to buy from you. So if you're starting from nothing, networking it's the little hinge that swings the big door. Cash. Liquidity is king. Here's the thing, is as an entrepreneur, you are going to start making money. I promise you. Again, you stay off on the field long enough and lightning is going to strike and you're going to begin seeing success. Avoid the temptation of treating yourself or buying the watch or buying the car or thinking that you're an investor. Keep cash on hand. Most opportunities, when they present themselves, take at least a little liquidity. And if you're not liquid, you're going to find yourself in a position of not being able to seize those opportunities. So don't fall into the trap of trying to present yourself as the $30,000 millionaire. Those people constantly, they lose because they have this house of cards that is going to fall inevitably. So ignore the Turoed Ferraris and the San Diego beach houses that those morons are renting on Airbnb. It doesn't matter. Keep cash, earn cash. Cash is the oxygen of business. The interesting thing about oxygen is, when was the last time you thought about oxygen? Never. Right? You only think about oxygen when you don't have it. So build your coffers, build up the repository of cash that you would need in order to really take a big leap or a big swing when it presents itself. Because when you level up massively, those big leaps that you get to take that are presented to you at intermittent periods throughout your life, you never know when they're going to come. And usually they require cash. So as you make money, don't upgrade your lifestyle. Stay right where you are. As a matter of fact, if you can downregulate, do that. You live in a house, move into an apartment. Live in an apartment, move in a trailer. Live in a trailer, go move into your mom's basement. Like, go do the things that are necessary to really shrink down the amount of money that you're spending supporting you so that you can save the cash that would be necessary for you to build your business, because it's your business that's going to ultimately yield money while you sleep. And if that's what you're looking for, this is the way to do it. I have a whole video on what I call the you machine, and it will explain my thesis about how to earn money, use money, keep money. So go watch that video. But if you don't want to spend your time doing that, just know cash is king. Save as much cash on hand as you possibly can. Invest. Everything that you do is an investment. You invest your time, your attention, your money. You want to keep your money on hand. And so think about the other things that you're investing in. When you invest your time, you go out to a party, you're investing in relationships. If you go out drinking, you're investing in that experience. If you stay at work, grinding, you're investing in your business. When you begin viewing all of your expenditures, all of your outputs as investments, it puts you in a position of asking the question, what is the yield? What am I going to get out of this? And when you're growing a business is like a baby. It needs constant attention. And when you don't pay attention to it, it begins to atrophy. It begins to die. So if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to own a business, you have to invest. You have to invest a significant amount of time, effort, energy, attention, and you have to maintain those investments over time. And what's so frustrating about it is, generally speaking, only 20% of your output yields anything, but it's hard to know where the yield is coming from in the very beginning. So a lot of what you're doing is for naught, and that's okay. That's the price you pay to be an entrepreneur, because there's no template, there's no blueprint. Once somebody hands you a template or a blueprint, that becomes a franchise or a business in a box, and all of the profitability, the fulcrum of profitability is on the other side of that blueprint. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're pursuing a business that doesn't have a template, it's hard for you to know what investments you're making are going to yield. And once you've been able to determine that, that's when you really want to chase, see how deep that well goes. But view everything, every expenditure times this video right now. This is an investment you're making in yourself. And is this the best investment for you? Is this the video you should be watching? Is this how you should be spending your time? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it's absolutely yes. And maybe you're like, you know what? I need to finish my book. I need to launch that website. I need to finish that product launch. I need to call that customer. I need to just sit down and do my cold calls. Like, is this productive procrastination, what you're doing right now? Or is this your highest and best use? And only you can answer that. But view everything that you do as an investment, and it will change your paradigm on how you act and interact with the world at large. And that's not everything. That's just what I know. So I'd love to know from you, what do you think people need to know about wealth creation? Drop it into the comments. If you want to help me, share the content. I want to be nerd famous. I want to go viral. And the only way to do that is when people like you share what it is that I'm producing. So if you can share it and share it with context, I would be forever grateful. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.